Welcome to the Oh Spurs later celebration show after what has to be a pretty perfect weekend of football. I don't know how we could have made it much better than that. Spurs win, West Ham lose, Newcastle lose, Arsenal lose, playing 10 men behind the ball against arguably the third worst team in the Premier League. It was lovely. Good day to you, Dr. Gonzo, too. It was a great win. It was just, you couldn't have written it better. It was absolutely beautiful. And there's still some big games tomorrow where our rivals are likely to drop points. I'm going to be joined shortly by Jay. Many of you have probably seen him on the show before. He's on loads of pods. He'll be joining us soon, as will Deej as well. So we've got a good panel coming up. But I couldn't really hold off any longer. It was just such a good day of football. I wanted to get stuck in and see how everyone was feeling about the result today. So that takes us up to 7th in the table. You know, we're only, 4 points behind Arsenal, who have got Chelsea, Liverpool, and, I forget, Chelsea, Liverpool, is it Brighton away? They've got 3 very tough games anyway, coming right up. So that puts us in a really nice position where, looking at our fixtures, I'm just saying, it's not, they've got Liverpool away, Liverpool home, Newcastle away, and Chelsea away, right? Okay, so if we look at the Premier League table, we are, so that's 9 points there. Okay, just bear with me on this theory. We are only 4 points off Arsenal, right? So if we win 2 of those games, there's a chance they only win 1 of those games. We have, in contrast, Tottenham's fixtures. We've got Villa at home, we've got Palace away, and we've got Ipswich at home. I'm just saying, I think we can win 2 of I'm just saying, I think we can win 2 of those games, and there's a chance Arsenal only get a point from their 3, which would mean Tottenham Hotspur, the club in disarray with no plan B, could be above Arsenal in the league in 3 home games' time. So just saying, it's possible. Believe it, love it. I feel like Spurs have been playing well and not getting results, whereas Arsenal and Newcastle have been playing badly and still getting results. But now Arsenal and Newcastle are playing badly and not getting results. Spurs are playing well and the results are picking up. So to me, that shows momentum going in the right direction. Hey, Jane, good to see you. It was an absolutely great day. Where are you based, by the way, Jane? Are you in Australia or are you in the UK? But yeah, great to see you. So yeah, absolutely perfect result. And we have to start, right, surely, with the most improved player, not only for Tottenham, but in the Premier League in the last season. That has to be Dejan Kulusevski. We went into a pre-season not knowing what this guy's position was. He wasn't even starting in our pre-season games. People were saying, we've got a 10 in Maddison. We don't need a 10 in Kulusevski. He's not quick enough to be a right winger. He's not a left winger. What the hell do we do with this guy? Clearly talented. Can he go in central midfield? Morning, Michael. Possibly, but it's not as natural fit either. Should we have even signed his agreement when we had that agreement with Juventus? We could have just turned him down and not paid the 30 million and let him go back. But we went for it. And oh my word, arguably the best player in the Premier League right now, certainly the most improved this season. He's found his home in that 10 role. What's more interesting, though, is when Ange made his halftime substitutions today, which were spot on, by the way, he saw we were being overrun in that midfield. Many managers, and the stereotype the media have of Ange, who don't follow Ange, would say, oh, he's just going to throw on another attacking player to try and win the game and push further up the field. Well, Ange didn't do that. Actually, it was a pragmatic move. It was taking off Maddison and playing Sarr, added legs in midfield, like Ange said. But it was also, in a way, it was a more defensive move. It wasn't a defensive move, but it was certainly a lower risk option. It was a smart, pragmatic move that Ange won't get credit for because it doesn't meet the stereotype he gets in the media that he doesn't have tactical nous, which he obviously does. But it showed Kulusevski is actually stronger, weirdly, in that 45 minutes on his own as a 10 without Maddison there. So it will be interesting to see now, do we go into the next game with a 3-man midfield and just Kulusevski, and Maddison and Kulusevski rotate. So maybe Kulusevski starts in the Europa League against AZ Alkmaar, and we give with Kulu a rest and save him for the Premier League. Because, like I said, if we win those 3 games, huge games, Palace away, very winnable. They're really struggling at the moment. They're on the slide. Their manager seems to be losing a bit of interest in Oliver Glasner. Then we've got that City game in the Europa League. Now, I don't think they're going to go full strength by any means, but I don't think we're going to go that full strength either. That's fine. But when you're looking at the league points, I think we'll beat Palace. That gives us 3 points. And I think we'll get a point at least against Villa. I'm actually quite confident that we're going to go in as slight favourites for that game, even though it'll be a really tough game. So don't be surprised. Let's just be pessimistic and say we come away with a point. So 4 points. And then it's Ipswich at home. Okay. So that would take us to 7 points. And like I said, then you look at the Gooners and you look at their fixtures and you go, they're only 4 points ahead of us. So in the league, they've got Liverpool. Let's say they get 1 point there. They got Newcastle away, say 1 point there. It's 2 points. And then Chelsea away, let's say they lose or get another point, 3. We're ahead of them in the league comfortably. Like it would just be, no, it wouldn't. We'd actually be level in the league with them. But still, what a turnaround that would be. And what a kind of middle finger that is for Ange up to all of his doubters as well. So yeah, loads and loads to be excited about. The only, I guess, little bit of shine that comes off that performance is the defence in the first goal was a little bit sloppy, wasn't it? I think we'd all admit that the way we defended that was just like the bit about us we really want to see fixed. It wasn't because of the high line we conceded the goal. That's the annoying thing. It wasn't anything to do with that. It was just having 2 or 3 chances, really easy chances, to clear the ball. And you argue the defenders had, whatever you want to call it, brain farts. And we didn't deal with it. And then we let, you could just see it coming. You could see their players waiting in space in our box, and you just knew it was coming. But equally, the thing that makes it so brilliant about Ange Ball is you knew when we went down, we were going to come back. We were going to get up, dust ourselves off, and go again. And how important was it to have Sonny back on that left wing? Absolutely pivotal. Him and Werner are night and day apart in terms of their ability. We know that already. It's just a shame we can't do a leg transplant to give Werner's legs to Sonny to prolong his career for 5 more years. Because it's just such a shame, because Sonny still, despite his age, can still seem to get that one-on-one and beat his man. When we play like that, we can beat anyone we can, Dr. Gonzo. That's the thing. Playing like that, I think, aside from Man City, Liverpool, I think anyone else in the league, that was a strong enough performance to win a game, which would put us 3rd in the league. We played that well every week, in my opinion. It's going to be really interesting to see how the fight goes, because I'm still not 100% convinced where Liverpool are. They've had the easiest start to the season statistically out of all the big 6. So let's see. They may be what they are in the table at the moment. They may be that good, but they may not be. So you've got City. Arsenal is showing some vulnerabilities. City have lost Rodri. There's a lot of doors open here. There's nothing saying if Spurs win 3 on the bounce, suddenly, they're firmly in that top 4 race. I'd say Chelsea, like us, are the other side which are catching people by surprise, that the majority didn't expect us to be this good. But we are, and there's still a lot of what you'd call copium going on, where people are trying to justify why we're not that good when we are, because they just don't want to believe it's true. Arsenal, it's been shown they can't seem to win or play the way they want to when they don't have Odegaard. Like the whole system since it's been out, they've had to put 10 men behind the ball and try and stink their way through games, through corners. Whereas if you took a Kulusevski out of Tottenham, we would still play. We'd still find a way of playing. So I think that just shows that we have got a system and a defined way of playing that's not reliant on one player. Whereas most other teams, City with Rodri, Arsenal with Odegaard, Liverpool with Salah, like they've all got reliance on specific players, whereas we don't. So I think that actually sets us up better in the long term for the season to have a really, really good year. So it's a super exciting time, Sports Spurs. We know we should have won those games against Newcastle and Leicester. We know you can't say, hey, shorty boy, good to see you, mate. I guess you're not acting today. you're around. But yeah, it doesn't. It's not so inconceivable to say that Tottenham might actually be better than we thought they were, and why not? They could be in that top 3 this season. I'm just saying, I think we could do it. And I know people will say, "Oh, you're just overreacting. We just got one win. We've still got defensive fragilities." Every team has some issues. It's not like Spurs, the only one with a glaring issue that needs sorting. We've seen Arsenal can't play without Odegaard well. City have lost Rodri for the whole season, and he's absolutely pivotal to the way they play. Liverpool have plenty of issues as well. Look at the age, and the other thing that goes well in Spurs' favour is just the age of our squad. Pepe Sarr, he's a kid. Van der Ven is a kid. He's a big kid, but he's still a kid. You've got Destiny Udogie. He's a kid. Porro's in his 24, so he's still getting better every week. You've got Burival coming back from injury. You've got Odegaard coming back from injury. 2 other young, fantastic players. Dominic Solanke today. Didn't he show us why we paid the money? It's more than goals. What a play! What a natural target man. Exactly what we need in that like number 9 position. Big up, Nige. Good to see you, mate. It's so exciting. I think the only thing I'd like that could really put the cherry on top for us this season is someone like Mikey Moore to really break through and take that position off Werner, and just really help us, improve that left wing position. Because I feel like fine if Odegaard was fit, we'd be fine, but he wasn't. So you really notice the drop off when he's not there. Sorry, just saying we might have a couple more boys just dropping on in a minute. So yeah, no, excellent performance. I don't see any reason why Spurs can't be in the pushing for the top 3 this season. We've got 3 very winnable games, and Deej is here. How are you, Deej?
I'm doing good.
Welcome to
Happy to finally get on one of these.
Yes, mate. They are the best. Sean the Gooner Slayer just got off stage. I'm with you, Jim. Tottenham won't win the Premiership, Sean. Premier League, Sean. We'll forgive you being who you are. But I truly believe they'll be touching distance till March. DJ, am I getting deluded here? I was just saying I'm now like got this call it delusion. City have lost Rodri. I'm not saying we're going to win the league, okay? But they are not that level without Rodri as they are with him. Arsenal are clearly half the team without Odegaard as they are with him.
And they're missing Saliba for the next 3 games now.
Missing Saliba for 3 games, who is their best defender. Liverpool have had the easiest start in the top 6 and was still within 4 points of them. Maybe we are in that mixer of the top 4. Maybe.
I mean, yeah, I think we are, but I think a lot of teams are. Like Brighton are still kicking around. I don't know. We'll see how their season goes. Oh, hello.
We got Stewie Boy in the house as well.
How are we doing?
Mate.
Yeah, I think Brighton, I think our Aston Villa, I think there's a bunch of teams that are gonna be kicking around in those places, and I guess it's kind of up to us to continue our good form and try to, and I mean, I don't know, prey on their downfall, I guess.
Well, we got a party pooper in the comments though. I'm going to be really boring here. Let's take it one game. Yes, Nige, I took it one game at a time and we smashed them. So therefore we're going to win the effing lot. Right?
Yeah, if you take it one game at a time, it gets I think it gets boring. You gotta let yourself get carried away. That's the beauty of sport. You let yourself, you believe you win the league one weekend, and the next weekend we think we're getting relegated. So
yeah. I think if we have to deal with the social media fallout when we do lose, the least we can do is go over the top when we win.
Exactly.
Everyone enjoy it. Arsenal losing to Bournemouth was just the...
Oh, did they lose? I haven't followed it.
Oh,
yeah. Yes, they lost 2-0 to Bournemouth.
Oh my God!
Saliba got a straight red, so he's
yes, I followed it into the red, and then it's Saturday night here. Sorry, boys.
It's Saturday morning here. What else am I gonna do?
Lovely. It was.
Oh my God! So they got has Arteta gone crazy about the red card?
I hope so. I haven't kept up with their post match. I'm sure he has. He's probably spoken in some vague. If I said what I
If I
believe to
speak,
be
yeah.
suspended 6 months, whatever.
Do you think this comes down to like the childish nature of like Arteta's management though? When it's like they just don't keep their heads. They do seem to have a discipline issue. Arsenal. I do wonder if
It's
it's just they get so emotionally
weird.
sucked in
I
like we
think
did
it's
under
I
Poch.
They
think
are
it's
emotional.
I think they
Yeah.
definitely I think it's more that they've been kind of told to I mean, because a lot of their stuff has come from delaying restarts, which is not like I don't know. It it's I guess it's something that wasn't really like officiated as strictly as it's been this season, and I think they're struggling to cope with that because like a lot of their defensive structure relies on breaking up counterattacks, usually with tactical fouls. It's kind of like how City was with Fernandinho. I don't know, because Fernandinho was like the king of the tactical foul, and now that's kind of becoming Arsenal's like back eight is
Back in.
their tactical
Well,
fouls to stop a counter, and then you smack men behind the ball until you get possession again, and like you can see that that's kind of their strategy based on their possession numbers going way, 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 way down this season as
Yeah.
well. So I think that because those like delaying the restart specifically to kind of stop those counters after the tactical fouls is being officiated more harshly, I think that's kind of what's led to a lot of their disciplinary issues. The Saliba one was just because Trossard left him between a rock and a hard place. Like that's just one you I mean, it's almost a foul you have to make and pray that they don't say you're the last man, even though he clearly was.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't want to talk about Arsenal too much.
No, I want to talk about Spurs and how amazing we are. But by the way, guys, there will be a guest popping up below. Surprise guest is joining us tonight.
Oh,
Prepare yourselves.
Oh, really?
Prepare yourselves. Yeah.
it's a surprise to me as well.
Yeah.
Surprise to you all. Surprise to you all. I thought I was going to be flying solo, you see. And then I was like, I know who'd be a great guest that everyone has asked to come back on who listens to us. So I've probably given it away now. And that said individual is available and going to join us tonight.
Is that a man in Manchester?
It might be a man in Manchester. Oh, Sean the Gooner Slayer.
Oh my
Propping up
goodness!
our pension
What a
fund
legend!
here. Keeping us in the business. We could
He's
easily
not
be.
wrong.
I mean, yeah, he is. Yeah. I mean, this is going to be. I think this is going to be the season. Not. Thank you very much for the donation. But I'm gonna to answer like to talk about what you're saying. This is definitely going to be a season where it's totally possible in April we look back and we look at the Newcastle game, we look at the Leicester game, hell, we even look at the Arsenal game, and we're like,
Brighton
damn,
game.
those
Yeah.
the Brighton game. I don't even want to talk about the Brighton game.
But then, yeah.
Like it's gonna be one of the. This is gonna be. I think if we end up in that top four, it's gonna be. We're gonna be happy because like it's obviously showing improvement. Especially if we are competitive in the cups and stuff. But it's gonna be one of those seasons where you're like, man, if we had it going from minute one, this could have been a special season.
It still can be.
It still can be. It still can be.
be.
I'm saying if it doesn't end up there,
But it is going to be because maybe we're not going to win the league. We'll still finish top 4, but we're going to win the Europa League.
True.
So it's going to be a great
Cup,
season. And the FA Cup.
Double. I forgot.
Exactly.
The script writers.
Exactly. It could it finally be the year we always say top 4 of the trophy would be good. It wouldn't be good. It'd be bloody amazing. Could this finally be the year that happens? That you get back in the Champions League.
That's the thing about knockout trophy like format is that any year could be the year. Like I think that the Europa League is probably our best chance in a while to win a trophy.
What's it? Howard's right. We're winning the triple, all 3 cup trophies.
And the Carabao, Howard says. Hey, Howard, by the way. But yes, we didn't do this Gooner Slayer song either. Sean Gooner Slayer. Sean Gooner. Oh, my camera's going over. No pad.
What the hell's going on over there, Jim?
We do the Gooner Slayer song when Sean donates.
I think
his own song.
Ross is right there as well. It's Arteta Ball's definitely been found out. Hasn't won anything after all the millions spent, and each year getting worse and worse. Coughing up lead after lead.
I don't know. It just kind of seems easy to play against them, honestly.
And
I mean, you play against 10 men every time.
Yeah,
But also, shouldn't the likes of Odegaard and Saka and Saliba go somewhere where they can actually win trophies?
Yeah, probably. That's
yeah, I think they
that's what I've
should.
heard for years and years and years.
They should go to Real Madrid. I think they should go to Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Porro's quite
Yeah, they
happy here.
should.
He could win the league here, unlike them bottle jobs place. But yeah, what was even more impressive about today was like I thought how the bench looked so strong, but it didn't even have Odegaard, Spence, or Burival on it, and those three
Yeah.
players should be back this time next week. Like, because I think the only thing that bench lacked was like, oh, who do we bring on the wing apart from Werner? And
I mean,
Was
your
Werner
question
the
was
answer?
correct. Like, yeah, I don't know. Arsenal have a set piece. They do.
yeah,
They do.
Arsenal have a set piece prop. They do, Howard. Well said.
How many goals have we conceded from set pieces? One. How many goals have
One
Arsenal conceded from set
goal
pieces
in.
today?
We've had
Hmm.
48 corners have conceded this season and conceded one goal. We've got a problem, guys. Got a major problem.
How many have we conceded from free kicks? I
Mm,
can't remember
none.
one.
Nope.
None.
I don't
So
think
there
it's
you
a
go.
single one. So
Nope.
yeah,
Exactly.
if we could just tighten the screws a little bit on I do think watching the game today, not to be negative, but I think that
Oh god.
I'm not going to be I'm not negative because we won 4-1. It's impossible to be negative, but I do think I think like that I mean, what happened for the goal today is what happened for the goal for like all the Brighton games, and it's like we are bad at tracking back post runs, and if we can figure that out, our defense will actually be quite good, because that was the issue today. That was the issue for I think at least one of the goals against Brighton. That's like what kind of feels like the quintessential goal against Tottenham right now, and maybe I'm having a little bit of like it because it just happened. It's on the mind, but I do think that's like our one area that I think we need to improve on. And obviously, you're going to say that because we conceded from it, and there's plenty of times where those kind of runs do get marked and nothing happens from it.
But
The other,
go on, Stu.
so the other area I think we could do with improving, because it was annoying me a lot, and why I wasn't that sad for him to be subbed at halftime, was our attacking set pieces. Our corners, oh my goodness.
Yeah, they weren't good, were they? The corners
I'm
were
Christian Eriksen corners.
Yeah, big time.
No, but they were like like Christian Eriksen never beat the first man. I think Madison just put down the
his
heart of
was
the
going-
goalkeeper
Well,
every time,
first-
looping over.
First he was going short, so he said, I can't do that, and then he just went long.
Arsenal seem a little Spursy. They do, Glenn. They are the new. What do we call them? They call them Arsey.
They're Arsey.
Arsenal are Arsey. But back on Ross's comments, though, I do think on a serious note, Arteta Ball has been kind of found out in the sense that without Odegaard, he doesn't know how to play, and without Odegaard and Saka, he really doesn't know how to play. So his solution is play 4 centre backs and 3 defensive midfielders. We're really good at set pieces. Let's stink this place out. But if they concede one goal, you can't suddenly overhaul a side of that many defensive players into becoming an attacking side. So he finds himself completely stuck and out of ideas. They don't really have a natural goal scorer in that side either. So it's not like you play defensive players and leave your Harry Kane up front. They've got no one like that. So they're just completely void of ideas going forward if they can't score a corner. And their set pieces weren't as strong today.
Confusing to me. They've been screaming out for a number 9 for like 3 years, and they refuse to buy one, and I don't understand.
They bought one, Jesus, who is not very good.
True.
He's I don't know, man. I wouldn't like a proper number 9 though. None of this Brazilian number 9 stuff. We had
we've got a Brazilian
experiment.
number 9.
We have the better Brazilian number 9. If they had bought Richarlison, he'd have 15, 20 goals a season for them. But
he's actually
all they do is set pieces.
They haven't had like Solanke, didn't he show today why? I know you guys had to drop in and out of the game, but what he showed today exactly why we signed him. He was so freaking strong on the ball and kept beating his man with the ball, carrying it 30 yards forward and laying it off to wide players. That was such. Go on.
I was going to say he played like that in the first half against Brighton. The notable, well, he was one of basically everybody who dropped off in that second half where we struggled because he wasn't doing that. But yeah, I agree with you.
And yes, Ross, I agree. You can't win the league with 2 or 3 shots on target every game. And that we're not about us, we're about Arsenal here. they can't divert to that tactic and then expect to get away with it every week. So I think Ange saw that Udogie was struggling with Bowen. Not sure if the Maddison change with Sarr. Yeah, I think having the extra man in midfield took the pressure off the wing backs for sure. Udogie he does seem to struggle with the 2-man midfield, actually. In fact, that's a really good point. Maybe that is part of what he struggles with, Udogie, because it's just not today. He was kind of, and last week against Brighton, he'd probably had his 2, worst performances defensively at Spurs, even though he's still really good going forwards. But he did get caught out quite a scary amount there.
I agree. But
Yeah.
the apart from obviously he got the assist, but the cross he did for the Brendan Johnson's shoulder, that was brilliant.
Yeah, it was. Kiwi Spurs TV. I don't think we've met before. Good to have you on, mate. Or have we met before? I'm going to guess you're in New Zealand. Going to take a wild guess there.
Shot in the dark.
I've got a feeling. But great to see you, mate. Is there a big supporters club over there? I'm intrigued to see. And what time of day you have to get out to watch the game, because our Australian supporters have got it tough. Have you got it tougher? I don't know. I can't bother to do the maths in my head right now. But
because they're a couple of hours even further ahead, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I guess obviously it depends on the kickoff time,
Yeah.
and we've got some bizarre kickoff times coming up. Yeah. So
these early games are brutal. I don't know how much I can do these. 4:30 in the morning after a Friday night. I thought about watching. I ended up catching a bit of a replay as much as I can get here. I can't watch a full game replay until tomorrow. But yeah, I don't know. I was out for a couple drinks, and then I got back and it was like 11:30, and I was like, I'm not getting 4 hours of sleep.
1 a.m.
God, 1 a.m.
1 a.m. Well played.
Oh my goodness. Good
Look,
man.
Kiwi Spurs TV. Do you do like merch? Because I've got Houston Spurs behind me from when I went to Houston and watched it with Houston Spurs. Can I get a Kiwi Spurs scarf behind for our display? I see you're an official part of the Spurs supporters club, so I'll look out for your name at the stadium when I go. So they flash up all the supporter groups' name as well. But great to have you on here.
Where are you at 3:20 a.m., Dr. Gonzo?
3:20.
Yeah,
4 hours ahead of me.
Yeah.
So that's.
Oof.
I don't know. Is that like China?
Sean's in Germany. Yeah, he was on that. You haven't met him yet, Deej, but he's an actor, and he came in as one of our. Which we could bring him on actually. See if we got any guests who want to come on.
What color were you wearing today, Sean? That's the big question.
Invite guests to the studio. If any of you want to hop in, have a quick chat with us. If you would like to hop in and chat for 5.
I can't imagine watching the game from at those hours. Although it must be nice to have a nightcap for a few games, I guess.
Yeah,
because I don't know. I'm so used to having a game set my day, which it's really dangerous supporting Tottenham like that. Because you get a win like this, I have a beautiful Saturday, sun shining, birds chirping. Of the Brighton game, everything was awful.
Yeah.
Well, except for the first half, which was probably our best half of football all season. And then the second half was absolute pure misery. But there you go. Yeah, Kiwi Spurs TV. Assuming you've got a podcast set up there, hop in if you can. I put the link in there. I'd love to chat to you, mate. And Sean, of course, mate. You're always welcome. Green, blue, or whatever colour you are today. Was the best 12:30 kickoff. Yeah, you always go to 12:30 expecting them to be a disaster, but that was very beautiful indeed. Howard. Klopp, gone.
I was going to say, I hate the 12:30 kickoff. 1, because it's early, but 2, it's because it's Saturday afternoons where I'm always on dad taxi duty. So I made my kids come to the pub with me early so I could watch the game before I did think, there he is.
We got Shawnee on from backstage.
Sean Goonersley.
Hey, guys.
How are you, Sean?
I'm great, thanks. What a great performance today, yeah?
Oh, beautiful. It was special.
After the last 2 weeks have been miserable.
It has been.
So I share a dressing room with a gunner. This is
nightmare.
It is just horrible. And there's 2 of them. So, yeah, it was just the last 2 weeks have been absolutely atrocious. So
Today's a good day.
Oh yes, oh yes.
Did they?
I can't pan the camera around, but so he was on stage whilst there was when Saliba got sent off. So I painted his mirror red.
Very good. I love the shithousery. Keep it up.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. So you managed to watch it all then, Sean, today?
Yeah, got the whole game. I'm just like, so Circle of Life kind of was like the last 15 minutes, but it was like, okay, it's 4-1. I don't think we can throw this one away.
No.
Even Tottenham can't mess that one up. Although
No.
we messed up some 3-0s.
Yeah, I know. I was
Ugh.
still remembering that Mourinho performance where we were 3-0 up and we lost 3-3. I was like, no, it can't happen again, can it?
Well, it was
We're not under Mourinho anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I think that the biggest thing this season is that we're in it. Like, there's no point. The last 2 or 3 years, the amount of times I've just switched the TV off because I'm not enjoying myself. And I do this for entertainment. I love football. I love Tottenham. I like watching good football. And under Mourinho, under Conte, most of the time I wasn't entertained. I never felt like I was ever going to watch the team win. So I was just like, well, I'm just going to, like, I mean, I couldn't allow my kids to see me in that state. I had to put the TV off most of the time.
I know. Tell me about it. Literally, I'm a different person when it goes wrong. I'm not healthy to be around. Evacuate the house.
That's why it's so crazy to be able to at least sleep that off. Like I have to go through a whole day. I watched Tottenham throw 3 goals away in 15 minutes, and then I have to go like hike or something, and I'm just miserable the entire time.
Yeah. No, my new fiance is she like, she kind of sneaks in and says, are we okay?
You got a happy Sean tonight.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Lucky. Ash Raff says, was this performance similar to United where we have beaten a team in poor form? And how good is Kudus? Good point on Kudus. Kudus?
Yeah. Man, I'd take him.
He was brilliant.
Some player.
He was. Yeah.
Good
We've been
player.
linked with him before, haven't we? And we kind of didn't think much of it. But what a player.
But he's a monster. I almost lost my voice when he only got a yellow card. I was just like, no, how can that be? He's thrown his hands in 2 people's faces. It was like,
yeah. I mean that one felt to me like a classic VAR. Make sure he made contact with the face, and I'm not being baited, which is fair, honestly. But as soon as you get the video of the hand on the face, it was always going to be a red. I think that one was just because technically I don't think VAR can give yellows. So I think technically by the rules, if they gave a red and they found that he hadn't done something to reach the red, then he couldn't have given him a yellow. He could have only given him nothing. So I think giving him a yellow there and then going straight to VAR, because everyone knew it was going to go to VAR.
Yeah.
Something like that always is going to go to VAR. So giving him a yellow is like giving him like a baseline punishment, I guess. Yeah, so I think that kind of makes sense.
I cannot understand Van der Ven getting a yellow card for it though.
No,
I was just like, he went up. He said to him, "Think what you're doing, because you've been kicking me whilst I'm lying on the floor." And clearly, Kudus has said something, and so he's giving him a bit of a shove. If you're going to get a yellow card for just shoving someone, then I mean, there's not going to be many footballers on the pitch, is there?
No.
Yeah. Fortunately, it was the I'd say the right center back to get a random yellow of the 2 of them.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I feel much safer with Van der Ven on a yellow for sure. Howard, have we caused the most reds this season? Well, how many reds have been against us?
We've had like...
It's a good question. That's a good stat. We need that. Who can figure out most reds against?
I'll take a peek at our.
And usually the big sides are the ones who get the lucky ones. They'll be like the Chelseas, the Liverpools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
But
still can't seem to get any penalties.
at least 3,
No.
Howard says. Yeah, we don't seem to get any pens, do we?
Which is a strange stat considering that we've got more touches in the box than anybody else.
Yeah. But they'll come. But just by laws of averages and odds, they'll come. If you keep like when we played pragmatic football, we want to call it that way, when Conte, Nuno, and Jose, we went 2 years without a penalty, didn't we? Just because you don't pass around in the opposition box very much. So but you give away a lot at the same time. So yeah,
we only had 2 all last season.
only 2 penalties last season. Yeah, there you go.
One of them was completely meaningless.
Yeah.
Wilson T. All the Ange outers saying we're getting carried away for a win. Let us enjoy before they start their weird narrative. Wilson, it is
That's
weird,
what we're saying,
mate.
yeah.
It's like some people generally go quiet when we win because they're like annoyed that Ange is proving them wrong and we're actually good. Like I miss the times when as a football club you just all blindly supported your side and you just dreamt of the title every year. Doesn't matter if you were going to come 5th or 15th. You dreamt and you believed and you loved it together. But we seem to have lost that, where we got a larger and growing segment of the fan base who say at the start of a new manager's tenure, this person's not going to work out. And they're more concerned about winning that argument than they are wanting Tottenham to do well. But Ange is proving them very wrong, which is very...
Is that not stemmed from AFTV, like kind of basically figuring out that if you have a negative narrative about your own team, then you're just going to get millions of clicks?
Yeah, but this is also in WhatsApp groups, because I'm in a WhatsApp group over here, and obviously whenever we lose or anything, people go on for days whinging and moaning, and everybody out. Ange just found out Levy's a wanker; he's got to go. The rest of it, I just forwarded the the Hiltco one that you posted, Jim, in our WhatsApp group. All I did was forward that one, and I got a telling off from one of the negative Nellies that why do all you happy clappers always try to convince us with with your opinion? I'm like, all they do is forward a tweet, mate.
They're generally annoyed we won. Tottenham fans get annoyed we win because they can't get their heads around that you can win football matches doing it differently than what they're used to, and you can win it without the manager they wanted first. And maybe they were wrong, and they can't.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, right? Is like you set like your expectations, and we've had these managers. I think part of it is honestly a little bit due to we've had these like managers where you start off well and then it only gets worse. So we've had this like trend of like an expectation set where you reach a peak and then you go down, and like you reach the peak really quickly. Like you get excited, whatever. And then everything always gets worse because you get found out. Like Mourinho got found out, Conte got found out because people were just like, he's not going to attack. So whatever. And it was some like brutal football to watch, and it wasn't a lot of like fun to watch. So like when you have someone like Ange, whose system is predicated on like learning the system, and as you learn the system and get the players in that we want, the system will get better and better. Like that's something that's not following the same kind of trajectory as our last at least 2 managers have had. So I think in a way it's almost like confusing to like, I don't know, support that, given that like it's so different from how our previous managers have gone.
Yeah. As Jellybean says, though, Jellybean's had a few. Jellybean, have you had a few drinks, mate? It's a bit sassy. Bit sassy in the comments there, mate. It's not like you having a go at us. So we're just as bad as Negative Nelly's, Jellybean. You had a couple of drinks tonight, mate? I hope you have.
I do
hope you're
agree,
enjoying
though.
yourself. Right.
I do agree.
Right.
There's no reason to there's always room on the Ange train.
There is.
Even though it might be nice to say the train is closed, you had to believe in it from the start. It's always a more fun atmosphere when everybody's on the same team and a fan base. So yeah, I don't know. I have enough. I spend enough mental energy laughing at bad takes about our club from other fan bases. I don't need to encourage more from my own.
That's fair.
Have to head out now, guys. Got to go back.
No worries.
Thank you so much for your content. Keep it up because it's brilliant. Really enjoy it.
Thanks very much, Sean, and thanks for all your support for the show. Thank you,
Cheers.
mate. Cheers. See ya. Bye bye. Good lad. Edward Y of Oz, the anniversary flip. Yes, it is. As we just said a second ago. And you are 2 days away from moving up to platinum level as a member. So thank you for your support, Ed. If anyone else wants to support our show, the best thing you can do is become a member. You will have to contribute a whopping £1.99 a month. But it does
if I can
allow
afford
us
that.
to fund running the show and get some cool guests on too. We got Rob Daly coming on the 7th of November. We've got Flav Bateman coming on from the Fighting Cock next month. And we've got more people coming in future. I won't give it all away now because it's no fun if you know who's coming on every time, is it? So yeah, please, if you want to support us, that's the nicest and kindest thing you could possibly do for us is buying us half an espresso each. Very annoyed why he keeps giving Werner minutes. Yeah, Deej, you're nodding. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, especially like if the game was like 2-1 or 3-1, we were trying to, and there was like a modicum of a chance that we could have thrown it. And I mean, obviously, it's Tottenham. We can always throw it. I'm not gonna like put that evil out into the world because that is just guaranteeing that next game we'll throw away a 3-goal lead. So I'm not gonna say that. Instead, what I'll say is when we're very obviously in control of a game like that, especially because West Ham, like I said, I didn't watch the full game, but you cannot. You saw how we looked 2 weeks ago when we conceded 3 goals in a few minutes, and we battered them right before the half, and then we were battering them as soon as the half came out. We came out for the second half, a complete turnaround from the Brighton game. So I think I do think it would have been the perfect time to give more some minutes. Just I don't know. Werner does stuff well. The irony about Timo Werner is that he's the better the opposition is, the better it is to play him because of his weaknesses and his strengths. Like he's very good at getting in behind the high lines, and he's very good at getting in behind the players, and he's pretty good at getting the ball into the box somewhere. And those are good characteristics to have when you're playing against a team who's trying to come at you. West Ham were not trying to come at us. West Ham had given up. Like Son probably could have had another 2 or 3 before he got subbed out after his first goal. We were running all over them, and I think that like that kind of game is not one that Werner is equipped for, in my opinion. Obviously, not the manager. I'm more than happy with the way Ange set up. I think that his move to bring on Sarr was fantastic. To give us a bit more like running space in the middle, like he said after the game. But I would have liked to see more because I think playing time, especially in a game like that, is invaluable at that age, and I think he is the future of our left wing. Although maybe he'll play in the center. I don't know.
I was a bit kind of annoyed again that he was still late bringing on subs, even though we're 3 goals up. But I think with the Werner thing, I think it's also the fact that Ange, from all accounts, is a very stubborn man. And I think he wants to prove that he was right bringing Werner back to the club. And I think that's why he's also sticking with him.
Nobody can bat 1,000.
Oh, look who it is. We've got our surprise mystery guest. Ooh, it's...
That's
there he is.
That was far too much razzmatazz. I was spluttering in the back. I was like, does he have somebody else backstage waiting to come on as well? Please, thanks for having me, gentlemen. How are you?
El
The man from Manchester.
Jose, come on in, mate. How are you, man? Good to see you.
Good evening, gentlemen. How are you all?
Doing good. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. A very, very smiley, happy day. I haven't drank for a long time, but if I had to have a drink today, I would be ordering a Carlsberg.
Well said. We've just been joined by Jay as well. You know Jay from other shows as well?
Yeah, I know Jay. Yeah, I know Jay. How are you, Jay? You're right, mate.
I'm good. It's a pleasant day. The hate watches went pretty well. You know,
that they did.
It was some positive hate watching today. So yeah, all good.
Yeah. And where were you guys watching the game? Either you at the ground?
No, I was watching on my sofa. I was so I basically, one of those on a completely legal above board
Oh, yeah.
stream that was ethically sourced.
Yeah.
But we won't discuss that any further. But yeah, so I just rolled over, watched the game. Obviously, was just like, yeah, it felt like a normal game for like I do feel quite confident in Spurs nowadays at home against most teams. Like I'm pretty I'm not super worried. Like I feel like under Ange we played a variety of home matches where some of them we've won late, some we scored early, some we've gone behind. So yeah, I was just chilling watching it on the sofa. It wasn't a tense game for me. I wasn't worried going into this game. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it was weird going in confident in a London derby for the first time in a very long time, because that's the first time we've actually beaten West Ham in 2 years, believe it or not. Where were you, Eltel? Jose?
I watched it at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I live on the south coast. So I live nowhere near the ground, and
Fair.
yeah, I watched it at home. And I'm pretty much like Jay, and I don't fear anybody that we play. And I don't fear people away from home either. I just think, we're getting to the stage that we're trying to get the football that Ange once played. I think defensively, we've tightened up a hell of a lot compared to last season. It's very annoying that their goal was a sloppy goal again today. Where we weren't on it at 100. And if we were 100 on it, then that goal would have been scored. But we score goals at will, and that's better than what we did last season. I'm really happy. I mean, I think we plus 9 goal difference now.
Yeah.
And people said defensively that we're poor, and I think there's teams that have conceded more than us already this season, but we scored more. We've outscored a lot of teams as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
What's there not to like today? What's there not to like?
Exactly. I mean, we've only conceded 1 more goal than Arsenal all season, and they're supposedly the greatest defensive outfit in the league. Yes, and
have we scored more goals than them?
Yeah, we scored 3 more goals than them.
There you go. If you're outscoring teams as well and you're not conceding, it's a.
On that though, I'm sure we'll run through the game. I don't know where. Sorry, I don't know where we're up to. Like you could already been through
run
the
us
game.
through the game if you want. Yeah,
we were retreading old grounds. Apologies.
we're not. You go for it.
So on the game, right? So looking at the game objectively, like rather than focusing specifically on the game, because obviously I know you guys will break it down. I want to sweep in observations that have built up steam from this game moving forward. So looking at this game, I realized, to me, Romero could actually defend terribly. Yeah, I think he's defended broadly well this season with some lapses, but he could defend terribly for how important he is for us on the ball, playing out from the back. Like the threshold for him not to be playing is so, like, people are like, oh, he did this against Leicester, he did this against Brighton. To me, it's like, just look at what he does for us playing out from the back. It's like, I'm not like, he's a big reason of how we can play, how we play. And he, in just a very understated way, is now almost like a playmaker for us. And so he's a very key player to us. Kulusevski is obviously playing really well at the moment. There was something in pre-season when I saw Bergvall play, and I remember watching it thinking, oh, you know what? I'd never thought about this style of playmaker in an Ange system, but it really works from a speed point of view and an attacking point of view. And Kulusevski, it reminds me of a mature version of that, what I saw elements of from Bergvall. A very direct playmaker who can slow the game down, who can, score goals. And I feel like now he's captain, he's taking more responsibility on. Like to me, it's important that the big players in our team play well and have, adds reasonable value to the performances. They have to be the difference makers. When people complain about the younger players in the team, I don't really mind so much about them. I think they need to develop and they need time to grow. the key players in our time, like the established players, they're the ones who need to deliver for me. So I'm watching people like Kulusevski, and now you're starting to take responsibility. And now you're starting to make the difference. And now you're starting to score goals. And now you're starting to make important assists. And now you're starting to run the games. And to me, it's very important that all of the players in the team, they take responsibility in all moments of the game. You can't be looking at other people in the team to bail the team out. And I feel like we're starting to get that. All the players in the team are starting in their own individual way to try and put their own, stamp on the games, on the performances, get into the box, get a goal, make a match-saving block, all those kind of things. So I just want to see more of that, the team to continue to grow in that way and just keep developing.
Well, Nige puts a good question in there. Basically, is Kulu a better fit for captaincy in future?
I mean, I think if once Son dips out, I think Kulusevski is kind of the obvious choice at this point, in my opinion. It's either him or Romero, as much as some of the fan base may not enjoy that sentiment, but I don't know. I'm a sucker for a captain at the back, and I don't think Van de Ven's been here long enough. So
Yeah.
I think that I don't see. I mean, yeah, I think Kulusevski's definitely will be in the running for at least like vice captain. I just wanted to bring up about I guess the kind of going off what I was talking about a little bit ago with the like improvement arc that we have. Looking at the same fixtures from last season. Shout out to Rune THFC on Twitter for putting this together. Last season we conceded 20 goals in the fixtures that we've played thus far. This season we've conceded 9. Obviously, we're replacing Leicester with Burnley because Burnley's not in the Leicester wasn't in the league last season. But yeah, so 20 goals conceded instead of last season, 9 goals conceded this season, 18 goals scored, 17 last season. We picked up 13 points instead of 10. So we're definitely improving. And the biggest difference is obviously, like I said, from those goals conceded, we've conceded 11 fewer goals in the same fixtures as last season. We are definitely on the right track there defensively.
And there was a good point here from Kiwi Spurs as well, that Richarlison coming on today, I feel like suddenly made me realise, oh my gosh, we really need this depth. I know he's not everyone's cup of tea in terms of a starter, but having someone who thinks he's probably good enough, right, to start in the Europa League and see us through. I wouldn't probably play him Roma away and start him and think we can get away with a B team here, but for Karabag at home, you want someone like Richarlison, who's a top 8 Premier League player, playing up front.
Yeah. I was gonna say just on Richarlison there, because it's like I feel like normally it's like, how can you miss me if I don't go away? Yeah, which is why Jim is stepping away right now. And I feel like Richarlison's actually had a little bit of the other side of it, because he scored X number of Premier League goals. I would be fairly calm playing Richarlison against most teams. Like I feel like Spurs fans sometimes get a little bit granular with the criticism of players. It's like, to me, it's like you could play Son as a 9 in any game. There's some games where it would be better for him to not play as a 9, or some games where he'd have more advantage playing as a 9. But you could play him as a 9 in all games. You could play Richarlison as a 9 in all games. Obviously, Solanke's very suited with his own individual style and what he's bringing. But I think that from my point of view, when you look at Son, Richarlison, and Odegaard, because you don't really think about it, but Son, Richarlison, and Odegaard were missing for the last few games. Yeah. That's a lot of attacking players, but we kind of were just playing, and it's
I was thinking about Son being gone a lot when I saw Werner on that left wing, to be honest.
But does this good? I was just going to say, like, it feels like our advantage over other clubs that we're competing against. And okay, Liverpool actually are probably similar to us. We have a system that's not reliant on 1 or 2 individuals. The system will work to some function, no matter who you play in that team. And we've got all these versatile players now who seem to be able to play across 3 or 4 positions. Whereas, like we said with the Gooners already, like you take out Odegaard, and the whole thing kind of is like, we got no one to replace this guy. So the system doesn't work. We've got to change the whole thing.
The funny thing about that is they had Fabio Vieira. and they decided to loan him to Porto, I think. I have no idea why they would do that. Whatever. I'm not
The,
complaining.
the one player I would say in our system that if he wasn't there, we don't have someone is Van de Ven.
Yep.
Because
Yeah.
the pace that he has is incredible and helps us to do so much with a high line.
Yeah, I would agree.
I personally think that's. I feel like yes and no with that, because it's almost like you could. I feel like there's almost an argument to be made where we need a playmaker from the back. If you look at somebody who can play the ball out from the back, but we also that speed, So it's almost like if you had Dragusin Van de Ven versus Dragusin Romero, yeah, and you would like to say, okay, these two centre back pairings have to play 10 games. Which pairing do you think would play better? I guess it's the rebuttal to your point of the importance level. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
True.
I do think we do underestimate the importance of Romero's passing range. I think we just kind of come to take that for granted. I think he's so good on the ball, and I mean that's backed up in the stats. But I do still think that probably Romero Dragusin would be a bit more of a not disaster, but I think it would be more of an issue for us just because of how many times I've seen Van de Ven absolutely
You sure? Like if we were playing out from the back with Van de Ven Dragusin against a good pressing side,
true.
You got complete confidence there.
That's the thing is it's matchup dependent, kind of like you were talking about with Richarlison. It's like I think that there are games like I think against West Ham we could have had Ben Davies and I don't know the corpse of like Ledley King's other leg, and we probably would have still conceded one at most. But like against obviously against teams that are gonna try to play over the top, you've got to have against Manchester United, it was imperative that we had a player like Van de Ven to just mop up all those balls to Rashford and Garnacho they were trying to play. So I think, like you said about other things, I think it is just very much matchup dependent.
Yeah.
The good thing is we have all three of these players, so we don't have to worry about it.
Can I just say I've got to go and prepare for my member show, but the reason why I jumped on, I saw the link and I saw a comment just before I put a comment earlier from Jay Ashraf when he said, was this another performance similar to United where we had beaten a team in poor form? And I hear this a lot from around the support, the fan base, different supporters saying, God, we're going to get cooked. West Ham are going to cook us. They got Bowen, they got Antonio, they got Kudus. You play against Man United, we're going to get cooked because they've got Rashford and they've got Bruno Fernandes and somebody else. And every game I hear people say, we're going to get cooked because all these teams have got X, Y, and Z in their team. Every team has a threat. Every team has a strength that you play against. It doesn't matter who you play against. Every team's going to have a strength. And the annoyance that I get from a lot of the people in the fan base is give the props to your own team. If your own team go out and dominate and play the way they want to play, right, and stop the opposition from playing, which is what we did to West Ham today. We've done that to most of the teams this season that we've played against. We stopped them playing and we've played our game, then we should be able to score goals and win games. I just don't think there's enough people in the fan base that actually give props to our own team. They're always worried about something else. Worry about us. Worry about what we can do. It's what's within our gift. It's what we do when we turn up. And if we turn up week in, week out to every game, then we won't be far from it. So I just wanted to come and make that point because I saw Jay Ashraf's point. Sorry. That's the only reason why I came to try and make that point.
I don't say it's the only reason. It's good to finally get you on. So, but yeah, no, I agree, mate. And I think the other thing is like like you say, we're always looking for a reason to justify us being good, and like not in a good way. I mean, we're looking to justify it in a way that we only won because of this, we only won because of that. But the team that won the league last season, City, with 90 odd points, they dropped points in 35% of their games. It's normal not to be perfect, but we are really good, and we are going to win 6 times out of 10, 7 times out of 10, playing the way we play at our best, which is enough to challenge for something and do something meaningful as a club. And maybe we needed to pat each other ourselves on the back a bit rather than always being like, oh, we conceded another goal from a corner once every 10 games. Like that's normal.
One thing just to add on that is in terms of when we play other teams and people, derive from it at the end of it, they say, well, this team look poor. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, maybe we're the common denominator in these teams not looking good.
Exactly.
Because it's like Arsenal didn't really play well against us. We played well against Newcastle. Yeah, we obviously in some of these games we're not getting the result. But if I look at the broad performance, like Leicester are obviously not a great side, but they're probably a little bit better than most people thought. But because we played them on the first day, everyone's like, they're terrible. Why are Leicester terrible and a disgrace, but Ipswich, who have like 4 draws, or like Wolves, who have like 1 point or something like that. So we're playing these games, and these teams are looking pretty average to mediocre at times against us. And if you look at these teams and people say, oh, they want you to have the ball, they're happy with. I'm like, no, these teams are not sending out for Spurs to have 70% possession and for them to be camped in their own defensive. That is not their game plan. Their game plan is not to boot the ball long to their striker, not be able to retain it, and the ball comes straight back. That is not their game plan. So I think that we are making some teams look bad at times, because we are a good side. But I also think, sometimes those teams are not, like us in the second half against Brighton. Like Brighton fans might go away and be like, what a magnificent performance by us in the second half. We absolutely tore Tottenham apart. They couldn't hope. And we'll be looking at it like, what is this? What are you doing? Like, run, do something. Like, come on, do that. And that's how we'll perceive it. And they'll perceive it in a slightly different way. So it's one of those where I don't want to take away from the team and be, like Jim said, overly, it's not us, it's them. But I also want to appreciate sometimes, these teams are not playing to the best of their ability, but we're also a good side. So little column A, little column B. But, I'm pushing for the fact that we're a good side. I have us as the Europa favorites. To me, I feel like the Europa favorites. Like other teams and fan bases might not look at it like that, but I look at it and I think to me that's my goal for this season, because it's the competition. You don't have Arsenal, you don't have City, you don't have Liverpool. You don't have any of these teams in that competition. It's just us. Yeah, you got United. We've already beat them 3-0 away this season. You look at the rest of the teams. Okay, Sociedad maybe, Bilbao maybe. Roma. It's like So that's my aim for this season. I'm just enjoying, and let's see what happens there though.
You're on mute.
You're on mute.
Oh, sorry.
Brother.
No, completely agree, Jay. I think it's always like Gareth Southgate said one thing. I always say this, one thing only that I agree with, and it's you may not be as good as you think you are when you win, but you're never as bad as you think you are when you lose. And there's a happy medium in the middle. And I think Tottenham are a really good side this year. We're not perfect, but we are within that top 4 mixer for this year somewhere. We don't know if we are miles off City and Arsenal or closer than we think. It's probably somewhere in between. It's probably a reality that we know Liverpool have only conceded 2 goals this season after 8. We know that's not going to last. They've had an easy start to the year. So their fans right now are probably thinking, we're going to win the lot. But they'll probably regress to a norm of 4th, whereas we had those, should we call them flaky results against Leicester and Newcastle despite playing well, that probably didn't fairly represent how good we were. So the reality is we're probably slightly below where we actually should be in that table, where we should probably be nestled in 4th place right now. We should. And hey, John, by the way, good to have a cheeser on. How are you, mate? Or sorry, a lit now, isn't it? Now it's a lads, it's Tottenham, isn't it? The new show. Good to see you, mate. But yeah, and thanks for coming on, Jose, as well, mate. It's been it's good to have you on, mate. And
thank you very much, guys. I wish you all a great evening, and keep smashing the show, people. Take care, everyone.
Thanks a lot, mate.
See you soon. God
Cheers.
bless.
Bye bye.
Well, going back to the point about that, I remember in the summer everyone going on about what an amazing transfer window West Ham had, as opposed to ours being rubbish. I think also people need to be less in the moment and just be willing to learn to judge things with time. But of course, that makes things less interesting when you're having a rant.
It does. It's more fun to be
I
extreme on the internet. Go on.
very
Sorry.
bit of a personal story, but I was having a chat with one of my friends I'm in an FPL league with him, and we were talking about how good Fulkrug would be. And I told him that Antonio would take his spot by November, and he didn't believe me. And, I mean, look who's starting. I mean, I know he's injured, but I'm still taking it as a win.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, I owe Deej a public apology now. Is on that I wanted us not to sign Kulusevski without completing our clause, and
Yeah, so there's a
Dallas,
couple of people on that, like at the time, you know what I mean? And does that then preclude you from having an opinion on a player for like a 2-year period or something like that? Do you have to come with a warranty on your on our takes?
You need a CV of Spurs player opinion.
I made a list of the people that wanted gift or ban. I will reveal them in some sort of a Epstein Island list-esque expose at some point. So yeah, there's that to look forward to in 2025, I'm sure.
We all flip-flopped though. I mean, I was over the moon when we signed Kulu initially. Obviously followed him a lot when he was in Italy. Always had him in my Italian fantasy football team, and he hit the ground running. But last season he was doing my head in, and I was, Jim had convinced me that in the summer, like, yeah, we're probably right. We should sell him.
Jim had convinced me that.
No, I was, I was like, yep, we should get rid of him. He's not a right winger. I don't see him as a 10. But the way Ange has found the solution with Maddison, with the whole kind of midfield thing, I'm happy to eat humble pie. I was wrong.
But Stu, you say with Maddison, and I guess we can touch on that at some point, because I remember, see, the thing about Maddison is, when we signed Maddison, I said this is the number one signing we need to make when we were signing him, because I was like, at the project stage that we were at, we needed somebody, in my opinion, that was guaranteed to work. Yeah, somebody that was guaranteed to actually help the team. So people could be like, oh, what about people like Eze, Gibbs-White, blah, blah, blah. But where we were as a club and where those players were at the time, they would have been risks in terms of guaranteeing and nailing it and things like that. Our scouting wasn't in place. We were still so whatever. Maddison comes in. Now, when I was watching Maddison play first 10 games, I thought he was really good. I never actually thought he was as good as everyone was telling me. In those first 10, 12 games, I was like, oh my God, Maddison. I was like, he's good, but he's not he wasn't moving me. I was watching Udogie, I'd watch people like Bruno, like Wirtz, Messia, and I was like, okay, those guys kind of moved me a little bit. And I was like, okay, cool. So fast forward to where we are now. The Kulusevski with Maddison, to me, it's like today was an interesting situation where you get taken off at halftime. Yeah, you take him off at halftime and the team looks better to an extent. Now, obviously, now we're getting into game specifics, okay? But Odegaard's not game specific. Saka's not game specific. There's players who aren't game specific top sides. Yeah. So are you now telling me that this guy is now going to be a game specific player potentially? And I was like, is he gonna eventually become our Özil? It was always the thought in my back of my head, because I see our timeline very similar to Arsenal all the time. I always compare us to them in terms of where they are and stuff, just mentally, just to keep an eye on it. And I look at it and I say, I think his output's still good. I think he still has value. I think he's still a really good playmaker. But then I get the question of, for what we're trying to do, the style of what we're trying to play, and the fact that there's two positions essentially available, and you're going to look to the team's going to need to develop and grow. And if Ange isn't trusting you to run the team, because essentially when you bring another playmaker in, because earlier last season we weren't playing two playmakers in the middle. Last season Lo Celso wasn't getting the opportunity that Kulusevski's getting in central. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
You never put Maddison Lo Celso.
But I think the Lo Celso thing, there was clearly something else underlying that.
Oh, boys, new member. Just a quick shout out to K-Dog.
Hey, K-Dog.
Supporting the show.
Welcome.
Legend. K-Dog. If 2,000 more people were like K-Dog, I could do this full time and leave my day job. So just
You
saying.
do daily uploads, guys.
I would do hourly uploads. I'd open an OnlyFans called OSOG. There you go. 2,000 new members
Okay,
in this
nobody
video,
subscribe.
and I'll
Nobody
open an
subscribe. Nobody
OnlyFans.
subscribe. I don't want to.
Yeah,
We don't need to see that.
We don't want that out there.
Sorry, Jay.
That's all good. No, it's
But just going back to the point, Jay, I think I said Matters because that's who he's playing with. But I think more is someone being more attacking alongside him, because I think Kulu, when he played last season when Maddison was out, he was playing with Bentancur and Biss behind him, which are a little bit too defensive, I think. Whereas I think he needs the one DM and then someone a little bit more attack, like Sarr's running today, for example, someone like that. That's a bit more forward thinking. Because I think Kulu, as more kind of standard, typical 10, isn't that great. I've not seen him play fantastically there.
I hear that. So essentially, what we're saying is we need people to play off. We need runners. We need a mobile. If you have two players playing together, and then you have Kulu playing as a 10 and having pure creative responsibility. I hear that. I guess from my point of view, he's younger than Maddison. He's more mobile than Maddison. He's our creative fulcrum so far this season. So it's just logic. Now, the one thing I love about Ange is, like, he's not... People think he's stubborn. He's not as stubborn as he wants you to think that he is as stubborn.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? So, like, as soon as, like, the set piece stuff last season, I know this guy is working night and day to fix that. But he's not going to tell you that. Yeah. He's not going to tell the media that. We're not going to do that in the open.
He's so obsessed with winning. I feel like he'd happily and deliberately take the perception he doesn't know what he's doing, because it would have people underestimate him, not take him as seriously, and think, oh, it's just Tottenham. They only play this way. We'll go there, rock up, and beat them. And he wants to catch them off. Like, in a lot of this is what I think is a bit of deflection, deliberately coming across aloof or whatever it is in these interviews, and just batting off things of, this is how I do it, tough luck, take it or leave it. And when you actually look under the hood, he's not just playing the same way every week. every week is changing. His tactics are changing. The way that we were conceding all those goals last season, and we shifted how we played this season to address those issues. But then, he always wants to be seen as this guy from Australia who doesn't know what he's doing with only one way of playing football, because that means people won't take him seriously, and that means people will prepare less against him. And it worked. I think he's just so obsessed with the ultimate end goal, like he did with that argument of not making those subs. I don't still agree with him not making those subs, but he was so obsessed with the idea of sacrificing something in the short term to have a better opportunity in the long term, that I think he just thinks about it in absolutely every single avenue at the club. But I do agree with Howard, by the way, just from the hearts, because I think sometimes we miss, when players drop off in form and stuff, you do miss things like them having a family or having a kid or whatever. That does transform how much time you have free in a day, how much sleep you're getting. All those other things change, and people say, "Oh, they have a 24/7 nanny or whatever. They can pay all this money. They're 100." It doesn't change things. Not going to be like, "I don't have to see my kid because someone else can do it for me." They might want to be involved with their children and their family, and that still means a hell of a lot less sleep. They're traveling all the time. They want to, all these distractions come in. So, I don't watch the managers interviews, but man, he interviews so much better than any previous Spurs manager. Definitely.
I saw someone else post about his embargo part yesterday, or this morning, I should say. That was brilliant, where he basically called Conte a twat.
What happened with this shit? Because I missed that. What did he say?
So basically, someone's like, Conte had said, no one's going to win at this club because it's not just about the players and the manager. You can change, a million managers, but it's always the same result, blah, blah. And then just like, well, all due respect, but that's a load of bollocks, basically. He's like, if I thought that, I wouldn't be here. It's our responsibility as a manager to come in and do it. He's like, if I didn't think it was possible, I wouldn't have taken the job. And he's also like, it's not like, we don't know what we're walking into. It's not like I turned up and all of a sudden someone told me, oh shit, this is a club who hasn't won anything for 15 years. You know all this before you walk in. So it's not like you're walking in and all of a sudden, oh my God, blindsided. So basically, he called Conte out.
It's a nice sign that he's been following us like he's looked back at our history as a club and knows the past of us as well. I quite rate that. I don't think a lot of people would do that. If I join a new company or whatever with work, I'm not looking back at what my predecessor did and all that kind of history, but that does show he's been following us, or maybe it just shows that he follows the Premier League so closely and always has done. Hi, 7:09 in Melbourne, Peter. Woof.
Oof.
Early one for you, mate. But Sunday morning, is it? So, yeah, have
What's
a
on
nice
the
cup of
breakfast
coffee.
menu?
Yeah. Stew on fire again. Man, this guy's ego is going to freaking explode. It's big enough as it is. Ange out now. Lol, lol, lol. Premier League too big for. Yeah.
I've been thinking this. That's all that went through my mind as I was watching this entire game that I totally watched the whole thing of was this guy is so naive. When that fourth goal went in, I was like, that wouldn't fly in the Prem. That only works in Australia. So
Did you boys see his interview with Optus? Where he basically said they were asking about this, and he was basically like, "Yeah, the Premier League's a little bit kind of up its own butt, thinking
yeah.
it's special."
Yeah, he did. He basically called it arrogant, and it is a bit
Yeah.
arrogant, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
we know it is. Go on, sorry, Jay.
But no, how do you see that in terms of like? I mean, I get where Andrew's coming from, but I'm also like, I'm a big fan of like the Prem. Like, I think the Prem is the best. Not necessarily. We obviously have the most money, you know, the best infrastructure. We siphon off the best coaches. Do you know what I mean? So it's a bit like that. I get what he's saying. I think also my biggest concern about Ange, I don't have any concerns. I'm like 100%. But my biggest sort of the itch at the back of my head is that when you're up against the very best in the world with the most money and the best coaches, you then have to almost say, is the best iteration of what you're trying to do good enough, even when everything goes to plan, to beat some of these other coaches with their best iteration going head to head? And that is the only thing that is like, I wonder, I'm not sure. Like that, and that's it. So when Andy says that, that's to me, that's we're gonna find out, yeah.
But Jay, that's exactly the same thing they said to Pep.
Yeah,
exactly the same thing, and he proved them wrong.
Yeah. Oh, just quickly,
he didn't adapt.
But the only thing, before you go, Jim, it's just it's like the only thing I would say back to that is it took City, like the greatest manager of all time, and unlimited money. We don't have the greatest manager of all time, and we don't have unlimited money. So then it's therefore to say, okay, how long does our iteration of that take, and what does it look like? And it's almost like us at 95, 90%, 85% of our vision. Is that good enough to do anything? Versus, you know, our ownership versus our. So I completely get where you're coming from, and I agree. It's just, you know, like it's just very interesting, and I won't know the answer to this for like 3 to 5 years. Do you know what I mean? So it's just a hypothetical. But yeah,
but I would say that you never know anything, because if you just base it on size of money, etc., we're never going to win the league. So if that's our kind of benchmark, so you have to kind of do things a little bit differently in your method, because if you do the same thing as everyone else, we shouldn't even finish top 4.
But we're doing things differently, and that's why we typically overperform. And people say, "Oh, you don't overperform." Well, we do, because we have the 6th richest club in the league, who typically finishes above 6 on average. So hey, John, by the way, thanks for coming on, mate. How you doing? Good to see you.
Well, at about 12:20 today, obviously I was getting ready to watch the game, and then I get the news the Great South Run tomorrow is cancelled. So that sort of scuppered my plans for tomorrow, because that was what I was supposed to be doing because of Gale Force winds. So after the game, all buzzing and happy, I stupidly signed up for a half marathon at Goodwood, which I'm going to do laps of the motor circuit in blizzard rain and all. So,
oh my god,
you know, that's what Spurs does to you, makes you do stupid things.
Do you live down in Portsmouth way, don't you? You're down the coast, aren't you?
I am on the coast, yeah. I'm literally where I am now is about 400 meters from the sea, which is brilliant.
Oh, nice. Great. Well, anyone going to Goodwood, go give John some support tomorrow. There you go.
It's going to be horrible. I wouldn't bother. I wouldn't go anywhere near the circuit.
Where did you watch the game today, John?
In my kitchen.
Very good.
We started off. I thought we started off well, didn't we? And then obviously Kudos had that first chance, which it was a good save by Vicario, but it was straight at him. But it would have gone past a lot of keepers. It was very good. That's what Vicario is good at. We know that. And then obviously got the goal we conceded was just mistake after mistake after mistake. I think if I remember correctly, it started with Maddison taking the corner, and Areola caught it in the 6-yard box completely unchallenged, which I found a bit baffling. Why are we not throwing men in there? Look at what Vicario has to deal with every single game. Why are we not attacking him, and the ball got thrown out, and then we just sit. Porro wasn't strong enough against Kudos, and then it just ended up with them scoring, obviously. And then Kulu, obviously, I thought Kulu was brilliant today, and Ali McCoy was on co-coms, and he described something I mentioned this not long after Kulu had joined us. There's a bit of a resemblance, and Stu, obviously you're a bit older, aren't you, like myself, with Chris Waddle. He's not Chris Waddle's level, but the way he plays, there is just something very similar. And Chris Waddle was my favourite player when I was, Glenn Hoddle left.
I loved Waddle.
Just after I stopped, I started watching Spurs sort of really 85, 86, 87, and Glenn Hoddle left in 87, and then in 88, 89, and 87, 88, when he was partially injured, Waddle carried that team. He was amazing. And the way Kulu's going, he could get to that level if he can stay fit. Because at the moment, he's so key to us. And I'm just enjoying watching him play.
Mm.
Frustrating today is that yet again, particularly first half, there was key moments when the final ball was wrong. And we're just so close to clicking. I know we scored 4 goals, and it's weird to say this.
And we hit the post.
An easy pass could have got us another really good opening.
Yeah, but last year I struggled to see games where we could score more than 2 goals. This year I'm confident we can score more than 2 goals every game we go into, no matter who we're playing against. But I think, like everyone, I know we've said we've only conceded 1 more goal than Arsenal this year. Like, the defense is not that bad as it's made out to be. It's just the type of goals we concede are so frustrating because they feel so avoidable. You just feel like it's not. I think other people who don't follow Spurs they play this massive high line, someone hits the ball over the top and they concede. That's not even what's happening. It's like everyone is back behind the ball.
Counter-attacking goal this season.
Everyone's in the box, and we just go for like 4 or 5 moments we could have dealt with it, and no one deals with it. You're like, what? That was so avoidable. It just so hurts to watch. But K-Dog, just as his new members want to read out his question, Ange moved to bring on Pape was seen as a stroke of genius after he was slated for his inactivity during Brighton game. Yeah, but to be fair, the Brighton game, he didn't take any action. But this game, I think, was just a complete, watch this, I can adapt to games when I want to. I chose not to then. And it goes against the stereotype that Ange is all out attack, because he technically made a more defensive formation change for the second half when we needed a goal. So it was really good to see. Big up Farmers League.
HG, when I saw it on the TV, him coming on, I posted in our WhatsApp chat, and HG said that's a really good move.
Yeah,
so
he even said it was a good move.
Yeah, even HG said it. So there you go.
Well, then he must be doing something right. HG approved. Yeah, because his biggest criticism of Ange has been his in-game management. Pretty much, hasn't it? Really, and Brennan Johnson, who
he's gone quite on the Brennan Johnson thing recently, interestingly. But obviously, I saw in the comments someone saying about Porro's volley. Brennan Johnson had that volley, didn't he?
Oh,
which just went
beautiful,
wide.
Man.
And 2 months ago, that's in this. He probably would have missed it completely. Or
I don't think we'd have had the balls to take the shot, to be honest, a couple of months ago.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah.
Carl says, still doubting Ange, get on the train, the gravy train. He's happy. Yes, there's plenty more seats on the train, and we're continuing to fill it up. Carl, indeed. I think every team, when they can see, goes through that though on a small scale. Yeah, agree.
Yeah.
Go on, sorry, Deej.
I mean, that's the thing though. It's like it's like as a fan, it's like your frame of reference for what you're watching. When you're watching Tottenham, because we're supporting Tottenham, we see Tottenham play and we see them play well, and we're like, these attacking motions are what's creating these goals, and to an extent that's true, but we're not looking for the same attacking motions from West Ham. We're not looking for the things that they're doing to get those men open, and to us it like looks like, oh, he's just he's unmarked in the box, and like sometimes that is the case, but sometimes there are genuine like tactical like decisions that they make to create our defensive breakdowns. Like, it's not all because we're shit, I promise.
That's a really good point, to be fair, isn't it? Because it's like, because you almost as a fan completely disregard what tactical setup and insight these multi-million-pound coaches are doing at rival clubs. Do you know what I mean? It's just, this guy's why is this guy free? Like, like even like the Brighton goal, no one said good movement by Welbeck, great like slide tackle across by Ruter. It's all, even me, I was like, to be fair, Ben, what are you doing? But no one ever compliments the movement of strikers when, like, because I promise you, if Solanke scored that or Richie scored that, they'd be complimenting the movement and looking at how he peeled off the back of the defender and stuff. Yeah. You're absolutely right. You know, we are very, you know, I guess tunnel vision when it comes to it's our club and very black and white. Like, we made a mistake and they scored. This player was out of position. This person should have done better. Never, oh, that's, you know, good movement by them, good run on the blind side, yada yada. You know what I mean?
There was a really good stat talking about that, and it's on topic but off topic, but on topic. Welbeck was a free transfer. He's 33 years old. He scored the same number of goals this season as the entire £950 million Man United team that played. How crazy is that? Like, it just goes to show that a player Man United let go on a free is outscoring £950 million worth of players that they've subsequently bought with the money. And the importance
didn't
of
Arsenal pay for him, but Arsenal released him on a free.
that's
I
it.
think
Yeah,
Arsenal did buy him.
yeah.
We
True.
almost bought him, didn't we?
Jim was like, "Don't please the stat though."
It sounds
No,
so
sorry.
much cooler. No, it's fair. It's true. It's a good point. Yeah, it's the truth. So yeah, we stick to the truth. But yeah, it was. Yeah, it's like just go to show. And I think we're epitome of that of our recruitment at the moment. How much better it's got. Like Wilson Odegaard, it's such a shame he's injured. I feel like he's got so much potential to be that dribbly winger we needed. We'd spent before we'd sorted our recruitment out, the way we went and spent 65 million quid on Richarlison versus now when we go sign Van der Ven for 40 million pounds. I just feel like all the players we sign are just so well thought out now that, you know, 7 out of 10 of them are going to work out. And if 7 out of 10 of your signings work out, you'll be onto a winner more often than not.
Well, Jim,
like,
one thing on that as well is that I always think that people always disregard like the size of the squad. So, like, you know, we actually have, you know, quite a full squad. So you can never get as many players as people want into the squad. Exactly. You know what I mean? You only really, and also, I also think the threshold to be able to play to Tottenham should be quite high. There's lots of good players out there. The skill for our scouts and data and transfer teams is to identify the players who are going to have amazing careers, the ones who are going to go sky high. Do you know what I mean? We all the signings West Ham made this summer. Spurs 7 years ago might make some of those signings. Yeah. We wouldn't even make those signings under Paratici. No. I don't think there's maybe Kudus out of push, but we probably wouldn't have been paying that amount of money for him coming from Dutch league, relatively to an extent unproven, things like that. So Spurs don't do those kind of transfers. So in the summer, when I always see, like, you know, there's players like Ndombele, Lo Celso, you know, these are good European players. You know, it didn't work out for them at Tottenham, but you know, these are
still good players.
Exactly. So people are thinking like our players are trash. You know, like, and to me it's so bizarre because I see Højbjerg go play for Marseille, and I see all these players. You know, Lo Celso looking great in Spain. So I don't want us to then fill the squad. You've just spent ages getting rid of players, and you want to fill the squad up again with players who aren't. You know, you've either got to be young and with a huge ceiling, or you've got to be a perfect fit for the side. I actually don't think Dragišić. I'm interested to see how he develops, you know, but looking at the signings Spurs are making and things like that, I think there's a nice balance. Even Ramsey, we tried to get Ramsey, and we were, what was it, like Lo Celso plus 15 million or something like that.
Something like that.
So now people are watching Ramsey play for Villa, do well in the Champions League, and they're like, oh, Ramsey looks a good player. So I have no issue with the club trying to get players before they explode. You know, like get them just on the cusp, and like you say, intelligent transfers. But do you guys think we're gonna sign in January? I think we've been signing the last few January. So to me, I kind of would expect at least one signing.
Agree.
Last January we got Dragišić and Werner. So you got to think at least one transfer, surely.
Yeah, no,
Maybe-
just going by history, we typically sign 2 players in January, so you'd expect one, and we typically spend around £60 million net every January, and it's normally that top-up player. But it's the good thing is about January signings is they've actually been really meaningful players. We've signed at key points in that mid-season break that we needed. Like Porro was January, wasn't he? As well as Kulusevski
Yeah.
and Bentancur.
Yeah,
Oh, those are massive signings for us.
I do think though that I know everyone expects us to sign someone in January, but you have to remember our Europa League squad is already full, and some of the players we have next season, well, I don't know if they're going to be still count as as foreign or not. So we have to be very careful about how many players we bring in, because then if we do bring them in, we're going to have to start finding homes for people in our squad. So
Yeah, it
I
depends.
think next summer is going to be the bigger one when Fraser goes, when Davis goes, and possibly 1 or 2 others.
That's it. Yeah, I think. Yeah.
No, I was just saying I agree with what you're saying, because obviously as well, it's arguable Spence coming into the Europa squad for Forster could be the only, because you don't even have any more room to put anybody in that Europa squad. Do you know what I mean? And I think next year will still be a little bit awkward on numbers as well. The year after is when we really are going to have the benefit of like Boskovic and Gray and Bergval and all these players now being like homegrown by the club or under 20 and not being needed to be registered, but they've been at the club for 2 years, so they don't count, blah, blah, blah. So lots of wiggle room there. But yeah, the only space I can see is if you buy a left back. Yeah. You buy a left back, but then if you buy a left back, but you also know and then that left back takes Forster's spot in the Europa League squad, and Spence still doesn't get registered.
Yeah, unless
we
they're
drop Werner,
homegrown, right? Unless you sign a homegrown left back.
No, because the only space we have is for but club grown, not homegrown.
Oh, crikey, yeah.
So we would have to
You'd
drop
a homegrown player, wouldn't you? We've
we-
only got 4 spaces for homegrown and 4 spaces for club trained, and we've got 2 spots for club trained.
Yeah, so we
empty.
can only add a club.
So, yeah,
so we'd have to.
who are the home? Madison's
Walker-
one. Who's for Forster? Who's the other
Forster's
2?
one. Davis is
Slanky.
one. Solanke is
Yeah,
one.
or you could maybe drop Werner. That's
What I was thinking. Drop Werner, because if Odegaard's back by then,
that's what Howard said. Yeah,
that should be a tagline for all Spurs. Just drop Werner wherever we can.
But
Have you discussed Werner? Sorry, I haven't seen the whole show. Just wanted to know.
Yeah,
There's been a lot of why did Mikey Moore not come on the pitch?
Yeah, we've talked about that a little bit.
Okay, I'll leave it alone.
Yeah,
no, it's fine. We can touch on it again. I think we've had the shows
well,
we go for an hour and a half, and your audience on the live shows kind of flows and changes a bit as you go. So is any harm in touching on the
my view is he's trying to get Werner to get some confidence back and get a bit of form back. But I mean, I think the first thing he did was kick the ball out of play quite successfully.
Yeah.
But I think Moore will play probably 90 on Thursday, and I suspect Werner will probably play 90 on Thursday as well.
Yeah.
And he's probably trying to, Moore's 17 years old. He can't be continuously playing games. He obviously played for the England under 19s, I think, scored a really good goal against the Dutch.
Yeah.
And I know he came off the bench in those games, but we have to protect him. We can't expect him to play 90 minutes at adult level all the time. So I think Ange's doing the right thing to a certain degree. It's not like we were going to lose the game at that. I know we lost a 3-goal lead a few years ago, but Harry Winks was playing in Southampton for Leicester, fortunately. And I think he probably did the right thing. He needs to get Werner up to a sort of speed. I'd rather Werner wasn't at the club. I'm still find it a very strange signing, but we need to get him performing if he can. So that's why I can sort of see why he brought him on today.
Ange did say though, John, I think it was 2 games ago. So who was before Brighton? Was it the Ferran Farosh? Is that how you know the name? He was asked about that, and he was quite open that I'm not going to sign players and block the pathway of others, just for basically a short-term gain. And I do think Werner was like he's not right. He's not great for what we need, but it's better than having no one there. And if I sign someone better, then Mikey Moore's hopes of breaking through into this team, Yang's hopes of breaking through into this team, Odegaard's minutes, they're all going to suffer dramatically. So I'm not going to do it, which is a bit, stubborn, but not stubborn.
Do you say stubborn, Jim? Because obviously on the flip
Stubborn's
side,
harsh.
yeah, I would say it's hard. I think you make a justified point that more should be getting more minutes, as it were.
Yeah.
But I know, terrible. I desperately tried to avoid that, but I couldn't. So I look at it and I say, you're right. But then you look at it, you say Yang's coming in January. Obviously, you've got more. You got those two. Then obviously you've got Odegaard and Johnson. You've got Werner and Son. Fans would make the argument that we need a big statements kind of player. You can make the argument. It was widely reported we were in for Neto. We didn't get Neto. We went with Odegaard. So you go for somebody who's a little bit further back in their development. No problem with that. But fans probably rightly would be thinking that £50 million first team winger who's a little bit more refined, that budget should still exist for somebody. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that person should potentially be coming in this summer. So I look at it and I say the Werner is taking a spot, but it's actually quite an important spot considering Kulu's considered a central player now. Do you see what I mean? Because because without that, you basically are saying Mikey Moore is basically a first team rotational player already. Do you see what I mean? Because it would be Odegaard Johnson on the right, Son Moore without Werner, because Kulusevski central. And I think that's the key thing about the logic of the club that's very understated. If the club knew that Kulu was going to be considered highly essential player this season, they did the smart thing in getting Werner and then Yang and Moore to develop an Odegaard, because you're really just saying it would have been Son, Odegaard, Johnson for the wing positions, and then you're already at Mikey Moore.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that I kind of was thinking the other day. I was like, I agree with you. You know, Werner needs to. We need him to an extent. I don't think the fans want to admit it, but to me, you look at the players in that bracket, and they're going to perform at a broad spectrum. So you look at like the Sterling, the Chiesa, Sancho. So I believe all of these players who were all essentially different opportunities for clubs might have broadly cost the same amount in wages across all of them as well, ironically. For me, like, they're going to broadly play similar. There's going to be a top end and a bottom end of the spectrum, but I don't think materially signing any of those other players on the list would have given you a huge amount different from what you're getting from Werner.
No, none of them were going to be like transformational players that are going to,
I just looked up how many goals Neto scored this season. As many as Werner.
Really? Well, there you go. And so there's always you always get rose-tinted glasses, don't you, when you look at other clubs' players, because you see the highlights. So you see the best reels of every other club's players, and you imagine that player playing like that for 90 minutes in your side, and you want them. And then you want other players as well when they destroy you, when you see them once or twice a season against your side. Soul Sniper Gaming, lads, it's 8 games, 30 games remain, 90 points.
Why not?
If we win all our remaining games, we would win the league.
We will win the league.
We will win the league. We will win the
games
league, Soul
in a row.
Sniper. I do think that today highlighted, though, there's... Oh, by the way, if you're watching, can you quickly just click the like button, because then it just helps us with some algorithm stuff, blah, blah, blah. Thanks. Just literally just move your mouse up now, quickly click like. If you're watching your mobile, just click like. Because only 34 likes this whole hour and 40 minutes, and we're having at least 80 concurrent viewers. So just hit like. Thanks. Thank you. It helps us. The signing I think we kind of need as well is I'm still not convinced. Basuma's good, and I like Basuma. I don't want us to sell Basuma, but I still think we need that. Who's Højbjerg on steroids that we can get in this squad? Who's our Rodri Light type player that we can bring on to shore up a midfield? Is that Sarr? Maybe it's Sarr after a few protein shakes. I don't know. But I still think we kind of maybe
that's
lack
not
a
his
bit of muscle.
game, is it, really?
No.
More of an 8, isn't he? More of an up and down.
He
box
is,
to
yeah.
box player.
Well, that is the question. What is Sarr? Because he's a bit of everything, really, isn't he?
Mm.
He's got a great engine. He's clever. He's fast. He's reasonably
He's
technical.
not the
I
best
don't really know what
passer, is he?
No.
He can pass the ball, but he's not. You're not going to play the Bentacle passes, or even Højbjerg
No.
used to spread the ball, didn't he? They play those crossfield passes. We don't really have anyone now playing those passes. I know Bergvall and Gray have tried a couple of times when they've come off the bench,
Yeah.
but there is, I've said it. Obviously, we all wanted Højbjerg gone, but his game management was so key for us at times last season, and we haven't replaced him, and that will be the problem. Yeah, I mean, it will be great that in the future he's 18. Obviously, he's playing left back, right back, and centre back at the moment because we've got a lack of defenders. So when's he going to get his chance? May not be this season, maybe next season or the season after.
Well, Steven Gerrard. Well, if he ends up
Wow.
within
I'd take
10% of Steven Gerrard, I'll be very grateful.
Take that.
I'll take
100%.
that. Whatever you're drinking, Howard. Whatever you're drinking too, mate. Soul Sniper issue was Udogie beaten far too easily. He was beaten too easily. Let's be honest, he was. This game and in Brighton defensively. But then is that because he's not a defensive wingback? It's just not his. Like Alexander Arnold's never going to be that guy.
Is the way that we set up, and you can see that like once we brought Sarr in the second half, that kind of defensive like frailty that was on that side didn't necessarily go entirely away, but it was much less prevalent than it was in the first 45, because he had more defensive cover that Sarr can provide, just because he's just up and down, up and down, up and down. That guy never stops running. It's insane. But I think that part of it is him like being not necessarily left out on an island, but like he's left to go against, like you said, some of the best like 1v1 wingers in the world, because it's the Premier League. We've kind of gone over this earlier. The Premier League is where like a lot of the top talent in the world goes, and Jared Bowen is one of those top talents. He beats defenders for fun every single weekend. Of course, if we don't provide the proper cover, Udogie 1v1, nobody's going to be favored 1v1. You could put Prime Maldini out there, and I still don't think if you give him no defensive help, nothing, he's not going to be favored 1v1. So by making the change that Ange did at half to provide that extra cover that Sarr provides, we were then able to mitigate that threat. And I think that that's something that maybe we'll look towards doing a bit more in the future if we see games like that where Udogie is struggling to shut down his man.
The Defense of Destiny Udogie by Deej.
But Bowen's evolved into one of the best right wingers in the league. He's top notch.
Yeah.
And I think when you're looking at once you get past like I guess the Salahs and the Palmers, he's right there with the well. I think his track record is probably better than Buemo's based on what he's delivered for West Ham, and he's pretty clutch. Like as in like he's a really good player, and considering his age and stuff like that, he's going into his prime. West Ham did well to tie him down. I personally prefer him to Kudus, not necessarily in terms of being the technical player aspect of it, just in terms of what you get from him in a certain consistency to the performances. He's always good. I very rarely see him having bad touches and poor control, or not doing the bare minimum, the pressing, the running, the tracking. He always seems locked in. So I really like Bowen, and I think amazing tactical awareness, which makes me wonder. It makes me think. Ange is such a complicated man. He's such a nuanced man. He's so complicated. I can't read him. I'm a good judge of character as well. I'm trying to read him, and every time he just throws me a little curveball, because he'll be like, I'll be watching him, and I'll be like, he wants the players to sort this out themselves, and he believes the players can do this, and if they don't sort it out themselves, it's a life lesson. But then also he'll be like, right, you come on here, move this here, tactically do this here, and don't mess up in the second half. So it's like, okay. So there's levels to it. There's nuance to how he wants. Okay, if it's an energy and running thing, it's on you. If it's a tactical, we need to double up or position things, it's on me. I'm starting to see where he draws the battle lines with regards, sort out yourself, lads, versus I'm gonna take over here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, good speech. Like that one, Jay.
Mm.
Well said. He treats adults like adults, is how I'd look at it,
Mm.
rather than other managers who often treat their back players like children. Like, I'm the only one intelligent enough to know what to do here, so I'm going to be very specific. Like, watch these videos over and over again until it's completely ingrained in you to do exactly how Daddy wants it done. Whereas Ange is kind of like, come on, you're a bunch of grown-ups. You're extremely good at football. You're better than I was at football. There's an element of you guys needing to figure some things out on your own here. And kind of throwing their kids, almost like grabbing your kid and throwing it into the pool without any armbands on and saying, go swim. Yes, that is a very bad way of teaching your child to swim and will most likely end badly. But you get what I mean. He takes the tough line approach with that. And
I'm concerned about you, Jim.
Well. Yeah. Yeah. To be very clear, I get in the pool with my son and he wears one of those floaty things. So yeah, I'm not throwing him in. By the way,
when you go bowling, do you use the springy sides?
I springy sides and I use the ramp.
Oh, so I was talking about your son, not you, but still,
I use the ramp and the springy sides. Yeah.
I listen to that.
Because we haven't discussed man of the match yet.
Do we need to?
Cooley.
It's gotta
be. Do we do it if you couldn't have Kulu? Is there anyone else who's worth a shout? Because I think Solanke actually.
I was gonna say, yeah, Solanke. I want to give a shout out to Son for actually finishing a chance that ended on the left wing. That was really cool of him.
Jay, our audience love you. Every time you come on, we have at least one or two people messaging us saying, "Can you bring him back on?" So we're going to rebrand the Oso Jay show.
So like I said before, like how can they miss me if I don't go away? I'll see you guys for the Christmas edition. Yeah, all good.
We've got Jay, John, and Jim. So we've got 3 J's there. Yeah, you got DJ.
DJ.
Sorry, DJ. We interrupt you there. You carry on. I'm going to quickly grab something whilst you do that.
I was just gonna say, I thought that it was nice seeing that the finish for 4-1. I think was a pretty classic Son finish, and then I think he really got unlucky to not make it 5-1 with the chance that went off the inside of the far post. I thought that one was destined to do something similar to Kulusevski's goal and just make its way right inside, right across the line. But it was really good to see him like, I don't want to say back, because I think he's maintained a level that's been good. Maybe not as good as it was when he was playing with Kane, but there's obviously other factors that go into that. But I do think that having 3 goal-scoring threats across the top 3 cannot be overstated, and it's something that we didn't necessarily have when we had Werner there. I hate to keep slating Werner because he's a fantastic player and he does do things well. He just doesn't score well, and in the way that we like to play, it creates chance. It creates a lot of we saw Werner against Manchester United. Sorry. You create these one-on-one opportunities, and it could be any one of the front 3 where it ends up with that player that has to take a shot. And when it's Werner, maybe when he gets confidence, maybe he'll finish those chances. But right now, it's one of those ones where it's like you kind of know what's going to happen, unfortunately. And having Son there to put those away and score those chances is just invaluable.
Oh, he's so key. You just noticed the insane drop off at the moment in terms of our attacking threat without the best finisher in the league in the side, unsurprisingly. But Johnson not scoring. I'd say I thought this game was set for Johnson.
Had that volley.
That volley.
Oh man.
For that header. Even that easy
header. Yes.
His shoulder.
Did it hit his shoulder? It was the other side of the stadium.
Behind him. Yeah, so he was craning his neck because Destiny had pulled it back too far and he was having to sort of reach, and it ended up hitting his shoulder and going wide.
I missed it because Sai, Ian, Johnny are all in the south and the east, so it's the other end of the stadium, and I thought it was just an amazing bullet header. They got saved. But I haven't seen the highlights yet. I saw the game live. I haven't seen the highlights. But did our Kulusevski's goal hit both posts?
Yeah. And I was sure it was going to bounce out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. I was like, typical Spurs fan. I was like, hits one, hits a second, it's gonna bounce out. I couldn't believe it when it rolled
Dude,
in.
that was that if it had bounced out, there was nothing that was going to happen but Son putting that home. Though, fortunately, I don't think there was a West Ham defender within 5 yards of the far post. So
Ah.
it would. I'm glad it went in because it was a very aesthetically pleasing goal. If you haven't seen the highlights, go back and watch it again. It's just so nice watching it hit. You're like, will it, won't it? And then obviously it does. But it's even if it didn't go in, I'm pretty sure that was going to get.
Yeah, I thought it was a
finished
harsh
rather
own goal.
quickly.
Oh, that was harsh.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see Kulu get a pinger off that goes in because that's the last little bit. It's the most important bit. But you always feel like there's no reason why he can't, because he does strike the ball really well in certain situations. There's no reason why he shouldn't be able to pick out a really good pass and a really good shot, but he doesn't do it often.
Think
And you're
about
like,
his first
if
6 months.
His first 6 months.
Yeah, when he was first joined us, he was scoring goals for fun.
True. Yeah, Jesus. Yeah, that's was he playing right wing then?
He's playing right wing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he seemed to
And
lose
again,
that from his game, didn't he?
Mm.
In the last year or 18 months. He's added other things, but he just didn't ever feel like a goal threat. And when he got the ball on the wing, you thought he's not going to get a good cross in here. He's not going to get a good final ball in. And that seems to be changing now, where he's starting to get these moments. He's had two. Is it a second goal this season or third?
I think it's his second.
That first goal was quite a nice little flick as well, wasn't it? I remember.
Oh, he scored at Old
Second goal.
Trafford, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
have a quick look. And my
It's the
apologies,
second-
Howard. We did get a corner for that Johnson header. It did go off the
Yeah,
defender.
Okay.
Yeah. Solanke and Kulu turned West Ham inside out. They did indeed. Porro was good again today, I thought, as well. Who's just
Porro's been good. He's been being good. Like I feel like he's very consistent now. Like he's getting to that point.
He needs to throw in some clangers so Real Madrid don't buy him in the summer.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm not. I mean, like the thing about, first of all, it's one of these things where I like. I don't. Obviously, you're tongue in cheek, but like, some fans actually do believe this, and I'm almost like, you know, we haven't lost our aura of being a team that's horrible to deal with when we don't want to sell a player, have we? Like, what's happened here that has made people think that we're no longer like? Do you know what I mean?
It's Real Madrid, mate.
I know.
That's the problem.
Listen,
If it was any other club in the world, I would not bat an eyelash. If
No,
it's City
listen,
coming for him, whatever.
Listen, if they don't get Trent, you gotta eat. I think they'd come for Porro. Logically, to me, I think they'd come for Porro.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we paid 40 million odd for him.
45,
So
We're
we're gonna need to double our money.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I'm gonna need 80 to 100 million here. So I feel like most of our players have got that kind of price tag of the players that we don't want to sell, and the rest of them, you know, like Bazuma, Benson Court, we're getting to that point where we need to make a decision, which is like Russian roulette for those two guys. Both of them got 1 year left in the summer. Spin the bullet, boys. Which one of you's gonna stay? Because you both ain't getting new contracts. Because we need to create space in the midfield. So one of you's got to go. I personally, at times, I'm always like, ooh. It's like, I don't know if you guys are old enough to have seen Wacky Races.
Yes.
Yeah. Of course.
So with Wacky Races, did you know actually there was only I think 20 episodes of Wacky Races made. It's always the same episodes being repeated. Anyway, I transgress. But yeah. So in those races, you'll see different people, different cars, going different times, Penelope pit stop, like some Flintstones kind of guys. But anyway, so that's the way I see Benton Court and Bazuma, yeah? It's like at any given point, you can ask me which one of these two is going to be here next season, and I'll give you a different answer. And it consistently switches. Begin in the summer, Bazuma. Bazuma gets, you know, the situation where we don't play him and he gets dropped to the bench, and all of a sudden I'm saying Bentoncourt stuff on film about Son, obviously the international ban. I'm like Bazuma, right? Do you know what I mean? We can't really afford to lose both of them next summer. So one of them is going to have to sign a new contract because we can't go in with a year to go. Do you see what I mean? So, who would you prefer to be given a new contract out of the two of them?
I mean, Basuma's he's a year older. He's 28 already, so that could be part of your answer. He's on a 4-year contract, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's one of these hidden additional years that we like to shove in there.
Okay.
To protect. But I think you're right. We've obviously brought some young midfielders in, and I think that's part of the plan. They'll replace them with these younger guys, Gray and Bergvall. Have a drink. Right, sorry, yeah. So I probably keep Bentancur unless he gets himself banned for another stupid reason because he seems to be picking up that. Although that's a bit weird that they still haven't come to a decision on that, isn't it? They're still just hanging over him, even though what was it, a month or so ago?
To have a difficult run of form, or for Zuma to get injured.
Yeah, they're saving it for the day before we're about to play Chelsea. I mean, it's
of course.
isn't it? So he gets banned. Then Bissouma gets a red card. Then Porro's hamstring goes. Van der Ven's hamstring goes. And no, it can't. Surely it can't happen every year.
It happened 2 years in a row now. I'm not gonna let that.
I think it's Paul O'Keefe on Twitter said the club might be trying to argue that he could have been on international duty, so it's a FIFA ban rather than a Premier League ban, which would be great if he can't play for Uruguay, for a few more months and he gets the international breaks off again. I did think it was strange he didn't play today, given he's just had 2 weeks off, but then he did go missing in Brighton, didn't he? So maybe that's why.
He's never consistently been back to what he was, has he? He's had flashes of it. He's had the odd 60 minutes of it, but it's not the Lolo, is it? The Lolo we know from that first January, those first 6 months.
The Villa game when he came back, we were really struggling, weren't we? Last November, I thought we were going to get battered, and he was running the game until Matty Cash took him out, and it was his first start since his cruciate. And it's such a shame because he was playing so well in that game, and then just for him to Cash to do that, just to put him back probably a year.
Just brutal.
Yeah.
I do. If anything can happen to make our players miss South American international matches, please, because I'm not saying that I don't think that the standard is great, but man, they kick the expletive out of each other. I don't know how YouTube live handles swearing, so I'm not gonna chance it, but they absolutely go at each other over and over and over again. I mean, that's and I mean, I respect it, but I'd prefer if our players weren't in the middle of that, generally speaking.
Yeah.
But I think, didn't I read that we were linked with Angel Gomez, who's on a free next summer? So he could potentially.
He's actually he was born in Edmonton as well.
Yeah, so he's
English. Yeah, he's
English. And he's on a free next summer, as is David. And those were 2 names I saw as linked with. I thought he could fit perfectly one of either Biss or Lolo, depending on who we don't want to leave.
It's hard to imagine a player doing well with that name for some reason. John David, is it? You said?
Jonathan David.
Jonathan David. Yeah, just don't imagine a guy called Jonathan David tearing up trees in the Champions League for some reason. It's just an English thing. I can't imagine anyone with an English name doing it. It has to be South American or Spanish.
That's why Angel Gomez sounds good.
Angel Gomez does sound good. I think Angel Gomez is homegrown because he was a Manchester United youth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He was a left winger apparently for United.
He ticks all the boxes.
Right.
Your first names is weird, Howard. I would have to agree. It's not the. I have a pet theory about how much it's not aura, because I have this theory since before that word was used, but how much aura a name has correlates to how good you are. And I mean it's not necessarily, I don't want to say it's true, but it's kind of the same thing as Mbomo not being rated as much as he should be because he's bald. I genuinely think that there is an aspect of presentation that goes into how you're.
Oh, of course. There's an element of aura is a thing, and there's a reason
Yeah.
why. Like, I think HG said it actually before. He was like, we're talking about teaching, because he's a teacher, right? And it was like, why do some teachers just get absolutely obliterated by a classroom of children, and others don't, despite having pretty, both being nice people or whatever? It's like, it's just some weird aura. Some people just have it, and some people don't. Some people have it as leaders. A lot of people
He is
have to
6'4",
really
though.
practice it.
He's massive.
Yeah,
He is big.
So he's
Yeah,
they're not mucking about with him.
they're not
yeah,
true.
yeah. You got that. There is. I think aura does exist. I don't think Mbuemo's got like no aura. He's just not got like. Do you know what I mean? He's not got like Rafinha aura.
Yeah,
or
that's
like
the
that. Do you know what I
thing.
mean?
Yeah, that's it.
Like Neto.
A bit of sexy. Yeah, a bit of sexy flexy on the dribbles and stuff like that.
Someone said
Needs more step overs.
I think it was Big John Bass said it's like he's got a crayon stuck in his ear that's hitting his brain and just makes. Have you seen that episode of The Simpsons where Homer ends up got a crayon?
Yeah.
And it's like Werner's got that. Like he's just a bit like comes across a bit gormless and a bit like thick. A bit like, which way do you want me to run? That way. And that person isn't someone you're like, wow, Timo.
But sometimes for me with like human development and stuff, you look at like sometimes people are just in the perfect place and they don't know they're in the perfect place and it's too late afterwards. Like certain players, maybe they can't deal with that quite level of scrutiny and expectation. Leipzig, he was loved. Leipzig weren't necessarily expected to win things. Happy to play well. Now he's gone to like teams that are a little bit more demanding. And, from a mindset point of view, is he there? Is his technique falling apart? He was obviously doing a lot of good things for him to be, a player that Liverpool were dying to buy. Let's not forget, before he went to Chelsea. And then I feel like to an extent with Timo, he's a second striker. But he's not played as a second striker in ever. Do you know what I mean? So it's almost like he's not a 9, but you mainly just have a 9 and left wing in English football with a lot of these 4-3-3s and 4-2-3-1s. There's not that many 4-2-2-2s or 4-4-2s anymore. So I think his best work comes playing off a striker, not as a traditional left winger and not as a number 9. And he's not played that role for a while. So I think that's an issue for him as well.
I still find it like it will go down to one of the greatest achievements of all time that someone managed to get Timo Werner to score 78 goals in 3 seasons. Like how did that happen at his prime when he was at his peak? 78 goals. That's insane output. That's like Harry Kane output. And then he went to the Premier League and everything just went. And we joke that Bundesliga is a farmers league. It's really not. Like the quality is still really good in the Bundesliga. Yeah.
Confidence.
He
was confident. He was going through 1-on-1 every game. He's going through 1-on-1 and he'd score. Whereas now you look at him and we all think he ain't going to score, is he? The same as when Son goes through 1-on-1, you're pretty confident he probably will, or when Harry Kane did. More often than not, he will. You just know that Timo's going to Didier Zakora it.
I don't think it's a kid. I think people like to point out the farmer leagues, etc., because that's just what people like to do. But I think just look at Torres. He was Liverpool. He was knocking them in for fun. He went down to Chelsea and he just fell off a cliff.
Well, he kind of fell off a cliff just before he went to Chelsea, didn't he? He did his hamstring, I think. Am I making this up? Yeah, I think he did his hammy.
You're right.
Lost a yard of pace, and then Liverpool mugged off Chelsea with it because Chelsea were in that phase where they were just like, big name, shiny thing. I buy. No one else has the money to compete with me. Shevchenko.
He had one good game that season for Liverpool, and he scored 2 against Chelsea. I can't remember who it was. I was listening to an ex-Liverpool player talk about him the other day and saying he'd been brilliant, but got that injury. I think, was that the year that they won the Euros or maybe the World Cup? I can't remember which one it was. And he got the injury during the tournament, and he just wasn't the same, but had one good game against Chelsea, and Abramovich decided he wanted to buy him in the January. So literally did Liverpool a massive favour.
But he almost won. He was a key player to them winning the Champions League, Chelsea as well. So we did kind of end up without looking, guys. No one cheat, and that because everyone listening. How many appearances do you reckon Torres had for Liverpool versus Chelsea? So I've just seen
I don't
this.
know
and
how long was he at each club?
Or just
Well,
without, I don't want to give it away.
Would not give away the question.
We'll give it away. But roughly, anyone want to take a guess?
I'm gonna
Without
say.
looking,
I'm gonna
don't look.
say all competitions or just the league.
Just all comps.
All comps. I'm gonna say he played for Liverpool 90 times, and he played for Chelsea 140 times.
You're not
Wow.
too far off. I thought he played more for Liverpool than Chelsea.
Me too. Me too. That's what I would have said. Gut instinct.
But he played 102 times Liverpool and 110 times for Chelsea.
Okay.
Wow.
But
Yeah,
I always thought he
in
played
my
way more
head
for Liverpool.
because Chelsea were playing like those. I remember he was getting a lot of minutes in those Europa competitions. You remember when they did that Europa run? He played a lot of minutes in that. And originally they tried to play him into form, and then a couple of different managers still tried to play. I think they tried to play him with Drogba at a time, didn't they? And they were doing all sorts with it. But yeah, not. Yeah, I think with that though, you look at different leagues. I think one player, I can't remember which player said it, but they said you have to run and think at the same time in the Premier League. And I think that's the biggest thing for a lot of players that come from different leagues and things like that. The speed of the game is like that split second extra time. There's certain cheat codes that you've got as footballers. Like you can see, like McTominay, if you're a 6-foot footballer who's got a good engine, go to Italy. Go to Italy. Go. They will name their grandchildren after you. They will sing your songs in the stadium. They will love you. Yeah. If you are a 6'4" centre forward, bulky, go to Spain. Yeah, go to Spain. Be a striker in the Spanish league. I promise you, you're getting 20 goals. I'm looking at Dobbik. I'm looking at Sorloth. I'm like, where are all the 6-foot strikers? Go to Spain. You will score 20 goals. Go enjoy yourself. You know what I mean? I don't understand why these clubs are not just scouting. Like, why is Betis not signed Chris Wood? I'm just like, just go and sign Chris Wood. He will be like Harry Kane in your league. So yeah, that's my scouting advice. You know,
it's helped, hasn't it? Though, like, because English players never used to go overseas. We used to just be like, oh, shiny South American thing, come here, really expensive. You got Enio at the end of your name. You must be amazing. Yeah. And then obviously Dortmund kind of kicked it off where they were like, England's got lots of really good young players and they don't use them. They just buy ours instead. Let's buy theirs for cheap. And Sancho goes over there, does really well. Obviously Bellingham's doing well in Spain. Who else? So there's been quite a few recently.
What's his name? Gittins.
Gittins now.
I know
Yeah.
Gittins.
Oh, that's it. Yeah. He's really playing well.
Lookman went over there a couple of years ago, helped kickstart his career again. At Leipzig and stuff. But yeah, no, I think it's a great point. We have so much like credit to the FA and stuff for all the stuff they did in the last sort of 15 years and stuff. And now we have so much young talent and so much quality. But now we've also got this Gen Z millennial type thing where these kids want to play. These kids they think they're good enough to play now. They're not. They're not willing to sit in your academy until like 20 years old, 19, get poverty League Cup rotation minutes. They want to play. So yeah, I'm really interested because there's a balance between these players being ready and the players needing time to nurture and develop and things like that. But yeah, no, I think you guys are bang on. Germany seems a great breeding ground for certain players, but I've seen Mkhitaryan, I've seen Sancho, I've seen Kagawa, I've seen enough to know I don't trust the German league like that when it comes to imports. You know what I mean? I'm not if it's 60, 70 million.
Yeah, German league's got one of the worst conversions in terms of fees versus output back to the Premier League. But where do you think where does the Premier League spend most its money? Which league do you think we buy most our players from?
Well, outside the Premier League, obviously.
Yeah. Well, including the Premier League. We because most of our purchases are not in the Premier League. No, that's second. I think Championship.
France?
Third. France, yeah. League One's the biggest importer of players for us. I was quite surprised, but because I didn't really. You just think of the big fees, really, don't you? And the big signings, which typically Italy and Spain. when it's League One. But I guess you think we spent 65 million quid in Ndombele
Don't
Um,
remind me.
from League One.
And
But apparently
Kulu
there's some
and G.
NG. Yeah,
Stromboli.
Maybe.
Steve
Yeah.
Malbranc, wasn't he from France?
Steve Malbranc.
You got him from
No, he's
Fulham.
got him from Fulham. Yeah, Fulham.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah,
Um,
Fulham signed
Good
him in
ones
France.
too. We got
The ball?
Hugo.
Came from France.
got-
Hugo.
Hugo. Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta
Yeah.
jump. It was
Benoit?
nice talking to y'all.
No worries. See you, Deej. Yeah. We'll probably wrap up there anyway. I need to jump as well in a minute, unless there's any other final
Nah,
final
it's 1
comments
o'clock
or
in the morning.
questions. Yeah, all right. Big up to Sean Gooneslayer as always for your donation, keeping the Oso Spurs pension fund alive. Anyone wants to support the show, being a member is is super helpful. But of course, if you just enjoy tuning in, we still just love to have you tune in and jump in the comments. Make sure you subscribe because we've got a few other people. We've had Ben Bowman on recently and a few other people. We've got Flav Bateman coming on. And we've got Rob Daly coming on as well, who many of you know is a commentator for a lot of Spurs games on November the 7th. So if you don't subscribe, you won't get a notification when they come on and you won't know when they come on. And yeah, members, there's some exclusive members only live shows coming to you soon. Cool. Up the Spurs.
Come on, Spurs.
Already Spurs.
I feel like I should say something